Hello everybody, Alf here, and today we are on the PTS. We're going to be doing a kind of like a filthy casuals look at just like the offensive skills. We'll be doing the other skill lines too, so watch out for those videos. But I really wanted to go in depth, so I'm thinking that should probably be a longer video and or longish, and it probably won't. I don't want to make it too long. Like I want to dedicate time to the skillets, and just give my thoughts on the morphs and the base ability, the morphs choices, and I mean I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you, which is probably not the smartest idea, but no one ever claimed I was smart. Um, I am going to be um lost train of thought. Oh my god, my ADD is so bad. I'm gonna be looking, like I said, kind of like a more of a casual player. Um, I used to be better than I am, but not anymore. And I'll be looking at it from like non-sweaty, and I'll also be taking into account PvP because I love PvP. So just keep that in mind. When you know, just keep that in mind for this video. All right, so let's dive right into it. So we're gonna start with the first ability. It's called Rune Blades. Cast a series of apocryphal runes before launching them at a foe, dealing 2,700 magic damage 3 times and generating crux. This ability deals 3% increased damage for each active crux when cast, and you can have up to 3 crux. So now morph choices on this here. Withering Blades has a increased critical chance for each active crux. That's probably, I would see this more as a PvE morph, you know, really. And let's see, this ability gains between 1,000 and 2,100 weapon and spell critical rating and deals 3% increased damage for each active crux when cast. So like I said, I see this more as a PvE type of thing. You can obviously use it PvP because also this passive could really kind of like go with it really well uh, when you gain or spend crux, increase your critical damage and critical healing by 12% for 7 seconds. So if you combine those two, it's really actually not that bad because you're increasing your critical chance and you're increasing with that passive, you're also increasing your critical damage. This one here, escalating rune blades. This is actually the morphs that I kind of picked. Deals increased damage, and the last rune deals damage in an area. I thought that it was really interesting, because typically in PvP, you're not really just fighting one person, right? I mean, not really, unless you're doing a duel, or you're secluded yourself in the middle of a field and happen to run into somebody. But typically, you're going to be fighting more than one person, and even if you're trying to 1v1, somebody else might show up, right? So I figured this one's actually a pretty good idea. You launching the runes at a foe, dealing 2,700 magic damage, 3,000 magic damage, and 3,500 magic damage, and generating crux. The last rune explodes, dealing damage to all enemies within 8 meters. And I kind of like that. Um, I find the playstyle really unique too because since it's area damage, as well as um, single target or direct whatever, um, I think it really helps you out in fights, especially with the damage on uh, this class being kind of low at the moment still. We'll have to see what week 3 brings, but I would choose this morph for PvP. I see this morph being the PvP morph. Now, they both work well, but I just think if you're going to do PvE, you're going to need that spell crit, or if you're doing like if you want to make like a glass cannon or a gank build, that's Arcanist, you go with this one too. But I like this one, so I go with that one. Next ability, this one is the Fatecarver ability. A lot of controversy behind this, because as you can see, look at the ability cost. The ability cost is 348, and the reason why that's 348 right now is because I'm a Breton, so that reduces that. But also, um, I am doing one reduced magic cost of spells with, but I made it infused because I really had a lot of trouble with sustain. You know, when I first did this class, I did Altmer because I wanted, I liked it better than Dummer in terms of damage. And I just was running out of Magicka all the time, even though they have class passives that increase your magic recovery and I think spell cost too, and it just didn't seem to help. So I had to switch to Breton in order to get something. So now I have 1500 magic recovery and have higher spell damage, but that's mostly because PTS I was able to get all yellow gear. Alright, so this ability, as you know, it's a channel beam for up to 4 seconds, dealing 3600 magic damage every 0.3 seconds. Casting Fatecarver consumes all crux and increases damage done by 33% per crux, which, I mean, sounds good on paper, but like I said, this ability, it can hit hard. I think I don't know if that area is right, 22 by 3. I think it's 22 by 5, but I don't remember the patch notes because my brain is awesome like that. But, I mean, the ability hits hard, but you have to actually hit people with it. That's the hard thing. And apparently there's a bug right now. You can see it on, I can't remember his name, but he put out a video where it seems like at times this ability does no damage at all. That's bad. So not only can the cost go down to 0, which is a bug and bad, and Zal should look at that, but the damage is also bugs out. Alright, so the two morphs for it. First one is Exhausting Fatecarver. This one applies a snare to damaged enemies, consuming crux. Also increases the duration and the snare strength. I usually pick this one. Now you can pick whichever one you want, but I really like this one because it snares. I mean, there's other stuns and immobilizations in the class, but I think it's really important considering that it's really hard to hit people with this, that you kind of have to you need all you can when it comes to stuns and stuff like that. You just do. This one reduces the cost, which is hilarious to me. Consuming crux also reduces the cost. Well, if it's at 0, you can't get lower than that, although that'd be funny. Imagine you cast the ability and get Magicka back. That'd be weird. Casting Pragmatic Fatecarver consumes all crux, increases damage by 33%, and decreases cost by 13%, which is kind of considering with one infused glyph, it's already at 300 Magicka. If I do one more glyph, this thing's free. So this morph, until the cost is fixed, is useless. So I usually do this one here. We got Abysmal Impact. Now, before I move on, because considering the rest of these don't have this, I wanted to talk about the cost determined by max resource thing. That's interesting, but like both good and bad, I guess, right? I think it's bad because, as you can tell, um, this class goes heavy into into magic damage. Other things do, like this one does physical damage, and yet I think this one does magic damage, and yet they have a passive that this one here that increases damage dealt by status effects, but the only ability that actually casts any sort of status effect is this one, and the Magicamorph that does frost. So it's like, I don't know if I like this, because also you're gonna run into situations until it's fixed where you're gonna be running out of Magicka. I don't know why I could wear the same sets on a Necromancer or a DK or Sorc or Templar and not run out of Magicka as quickly as I do on this class. It's weird. So by not having access to any sort of stamina costing, these don't cost stamina, I think is a little rough. It's a unique thing, and it's cool to be unique. We'll have to see where it goes. But as of right now, I'm kind of on the fence. I like the uniqueness of it. I like being different. It's not like overwhelmingly, but it's as a Magicka, damage dealer. If you want access to stamina costing abilities to take some, to take some weight off of your Magicka, help with sustain, etc., you ain't gonna get it from these abilities. So that kind of stinks. Alright, so on to Abysmal Impact. This one is also really controversial, because it doesn't really. The damage is like I said overall. So I'm not repeating myself. The damage is low on Arcanist. It really isn't where it should probably be with a class that doesn't necessarily have a burst. Um, so all right, so let's look at these morphs here. That's a word and a half. I'm just gonna call it Flail. Sorry about the mutes there. My cat is having some issues. So I'm gonna call this one Flail. Cost stamina, which I mean the base cost stamina. So this one creates Crux and deals increased damage to enemies below half health. Now this would be great if it didn't kind of cap at 100% more damage. Other executes go up to like 200-300%. So in terms of this being an execute, it's not that great. In the Abysmal Ink thing, I don't really know. I mean, it doesn't really seem to work, or it doesn't really seem to matter. So, but this deals 7,300 physical damage and generates Crux. Enemies are immobilized for 3 seconds, which is why I like this ability. I use this ability as kind of like a like a like a fossilize, you know what I mean? Or I use it more for the immobilization than I do the damage. Now let's go with Dread, which is the Magicamorph, and I will say it is unique. I do like that the base ability costs stamina, so now there's 2 different stamina options on the class with a Magicamorph. I think that's unique. It would be stupid to create an entire stamina based class, but I think this is actually pretty cool. Alright, so this converts to a magic ability and deals frost damage. That's, I guess, status effect, chilled, right? Consuming Crux to increase the Abysmal Ink strength in immobilized duration. So this is the one I choose because it's a magic dealer, but also it increases the immobilized duration and the Abysmal Ink strength, which this class needs all it can with damage. So until it's kind of increased, you know. And if you're not reading the tooltip, enemies are drenched or marked with abysmal ink for 20 seconds. So for 20 seconds, they take 5% more damage. But I mean, it's like I said, it's still like not a lot. So we'll go with that one. This one, I use this one more as a. I use this one kind of more as like a just a passive on my board. It also, with this ability giving major brutality and sorcery, continues the theme that Necromancer is the only class that does not have access to major brutality and sorcery. Now, I think with Templars, it's on biting jabs, which is the stamina morph. But still, I mean, I get it. You don't want to completely eliminate the need for entropy. You know, like, I get that, I guess. But it's just like, really? Like, as a necromancer, someone who is going to be still a necromancer when this class hits, even though I like this class, it just, I I don't want to have entropy on my bar. And I want to be able to use tri potions because I like having that ability to get my stamina back. You know. Anyway, rant over. Etch a series of runes onto your weapon that pulse with power every 5 seconds. Each pulse enhances your class abilities, and striking an enemy with one deals an additional 4,600 magic damage and generates crux if you have none. While slotted, you gain major brutality and major sorcery. Like I said, I use this as a passive ability, but I guess it also kind of works. Kind of works to increase your damage, and like I said, this class needs that. Okay, so this one, Inspired Scholarship, increases the frequency of damage. This is a really good morph for um, if you actually want to cast the ability, because you know it increases damage. Like, I'm not going to be the broken weapon, a broken something. Uh, no, this for when dealing damage, restore magic and stamina. I chose. Let's see. I believe I chose this one because I was having sustained problems. So if I could get any sort of magic and stamina back, that would be fantastic. But now that I'm Breton and I don't really have that problem per se, I'll probably go with this one, just in case I do want to cast the ability. And if you notice the cost, even with my glyphs and being a Breton, the cost is still 3.6 magic. That's a lot. I think without these glyphs, it's over 4K, and that's a lot to be spending, you know, on that. You know, this is only 2K. This is, well, that's nothing. This is, you know, a little under 3K. So this one, it costs almost 4K. It's just, that's a lot with a class that's having sustained issues. At least I am. This one, now this ability, at least one of the morphs, let's see, seems to be causing some issues, but um, we'll see. Now, what are you going to keep in mind when it comes to the controversial part of this ability, which I'll get into, is it's just a morph choice, and in my opinion, the other morph might be better. But we're going to get into that right now. So this one, summon a flawed rune under an enemy. So this is a targeted ability, I believe. Yes, it's not area. Summon a flawed rune under an enemy that etches foes nearby with scrawled glyphs, dealing 18,000 magicka over 20 seconds. Now, that, yeah, it is targeted C, so I can't just pull on the ground like I can with other things. Clicking a button, nothing happens. The damage is so. I mean, look at that damage, right? That's dealing 18,400 58 magic damage over 20 seconds. Now we'll go into abilities that people don't use for the damage. Entropy right now costs 21,814 over 24 seconds. We'll use the one that I would use on this class considering I had major brutality. So this, yeah, so 21,800 over 24 seconds. And then if you go into Sultra, this one does 18,458 magic damage over 20 seconds. Like, really? So the damage on this ability is literally the same as Soul Trap, an ability that not a lot of people use, or if they do, they use it in PvE to fill soul gems and stuff like that. That's not good. That's not a good thing. Okay, so getting into these morphs, Rune of Displacement. Now this is the one that's causing a lot of issues on the forums for one reason, or at least one part of the forums, and I'll tell you why right here. Summon a discharging rune under an enemy. After 2 seconds, the rune pulses, pulling in foes between 2 to 8 meters and etching them with scrawled glyphs that deal 18,400 magic damage over 18 seconds. So that's still not good. And you can do a synergy that deals frost damage. Now people are saying that ball groups can really abuse this to pull people in, but the damage isn't great. You know, I mean, I'm not in a ball group. I haven't been in an organized PvP group for a couple of years now, but I would keep Dark Convergence because I think this morph might actually be better. Because up to three allies can use the synergy. I like that. That I think is the better one, and it doesn't pull people in. This one here, summon an explosive rune under an enemy that etches foes nearby with scrawled glyphs, dealing 18 again, dealing soul trap magic damage for 20 seconds, which is ugh. The rune lingers on the initial target for 6 seconds before detonating, dealing 5,300 frost damage to enemies within 7 meters. Rune detonation cannot be primed with fulminating rune again for 6 seconds. Up to 3 allies near the initial target can activate the rune break synergy, dealing 10,200 frost damage to enemies. See, I think this one's better because you think about it, you're in a group, you cast this ability, right? And 3 people in your group, if you're in a ball group, 3 people in your group can activate this. Now I'm pretty sure it's dealing 10,000 frost damage each time. So that's already at 30,000 frost damage. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is just what I'm thinking. It doesn't say up to, it just says dealing 10,000. So I'm thinking that's per synergy. So that's crazy. That's already 30,000 damage if that's true. Even 10,000 damage is pretty good. So I think this morph is actually better. So the people that are bent out of shape over this morph, it's not even the best morph. It's really not, in my opinion. Maybe I'm looking at it differently. But and as a person who runs in groups of anywhere from solo to 4 or 5 people, as a ranged person, I certainly do not want people coming towards me. Melee people are my enemy. I don't want them anywhere near me. Unless and if I'm going to pull them in, I'm putting on Dark Convergence. I'm not putting on this ability. That's just me. What do you think about this Rune of Displacement? Let me know in the comments below. A healthy back and forth is never a bad thing, as long as it's healthy. But the damage on this is so bad, because if you even look at it, instead of doing 18,000 magic damage Over 20 seconds, it's 18,470 over 18 seconds, which still isn't that good. So I'm going to choose this one. Now we'll get into the ultimate, which I don't really like the ultimate. I'm not going to lie. I don't like this ultimate at all. I think when it hits the target, it hits really good, but the big part of that is when it hits the target. Like, I just don't, I don't know. I just don't, I don't know. It's very, very avoidable. You would have to basically stun it. You'd have to stun it with this ability and then hit with this ability, or stun it with this ability to hit this ability. That's the whole thing of this class, I mean, you have to stun. The combo would be stun with this ability, immobilize him, then use this. Immobilize him, then use this. That's easiest thing to do. There's also check out my other video, but there is also another ability that I think you can team up with this, because this immobilizes, but the other ability stuns, which is kind of different, kind of like fossilize and talons. So team those up with this, or team those up with this, whatever. Anyway, tear open the fabric of whatever that word is to summon a scion of Hermaeus Moro. This being casts forth a beam that renders asunder reality for 6 seconds. Awesome wording, by the way. I love Hermaeus Moro. Hermaeus Moro is my favorite data. Like, the only reason why I bought this chapter was because it's centered around Hermaeus Moro. It's not even for the Arcanist class. Class is interesting, but I'm not buying it for the class. I just really love Hermaeus Moro. That horror, like, Cthulhu kind of thing. Like, oh, it's so cool. Anyway, this being casts forth a beam that renders asunder reality for 6 seconds and deals 4,600 magic damage to enemies within 3 meters every 0.5 seconds. The Scion's beam can be repositioned by recasting Unblinking Eye. I don't know. Duration's only 6 seconds, but if you have to keep repositioning it, I don't know. That's just weird. Anyway, this morph, beam duration is increased, automatically follows the target. I'm going to put that in quotation marks. I've used this, and it doesn't really follow the target. It tries, and searches for new targets if it is slain. Again, follows the target in a way that, like, Blast Bones runs towards the target. Like, Blast Bones is good, but sometimes, it just either chooses the wrong target, or it has that delay, and and it's like, I don't know, it's just it's weird. Just, it doesn't really follow the target. I think this is the better morph, because it searches for new if slain. You don't have to recast it. It also lasts 2 more seconds. Instead of it lasting 6 seconds, it lasts 8 seconds. That might be a bug. You can tell me. I read the patch notes, but I don't remember them. I think this one's the better morph, personally. So this one here, it applies a snare to enemies hit, and damage increases over time. Now, this isn't a bad damage, because a bad morph at all. The only problem is that you have to reposition it. If you have to reposition, you have to recast it. And this one only lasts 6 seconds. So I'd rather have the extra 2 seconds and have the thing actually follow the person, or at least have a better chance of following the person anyway. So I usually choose this morph. I think it's the better morph. The increased damage on the other one's nice, but to have to constantly just reposition it, recast it, reposition, it's just weird. It's just really, really, really weird. Alright, so now we're going to get into the passives here. Fated Fortune, Warp Fate when you gain or spend crux, increasing your critical damage and critical healing by 12 by 12% for 7 seconds. Wow, I can read. So that's where this one comes in. This ability would be great timed with this. It really would. You know, well, not the morph I chose, the other morph. This one here, your master. You're a master of the warp and weft of your soul. When you are restored magicka or stamina, increase your weapon and spell damage by 5% for 10 seconds. So that's really big. Increases your damage. I think out of all the classes, this one might have the easiest to increase your spell damage. You know, you have major brutality sorcery as a passive on your bar. You know, you have another ability in one of these other ones that also increases your spell damage if you go with that morph. And then you have this one that when you get magic or stamina back, you have an increase of spell damage for 10 seconds. So, I mean, even without that on a Breton, I'm at 4.3. You know, so I mean, that's crazy. I like that passive. This one, I don't really like this one. I don't get this one because this class doesn't have access to many status effects unless you put poison on your bar or you go with what you could do. One option if you really wanted to lean into it was to do Heartland's Conqueror and do the charged ability. What Heartland's Conqueror does, I know I have it in my inventory. Might be wearing it. Ah, here we go. Heartland's Conqueror increases the effectiveness of your weapon traits by 100%. So you put charged on your bar, and I don't currently have charge on my bar. I actually have Nerve Home, so that's also why my weapon and spell damage is up pretty high. But I don't know. Wouldn't you think that, like this passive would work better on necromancers, right? I mean, they have fire, frost, and lightning spells. This one's just all magic damage. So I don't know. This one's weird. There's really, I mean, unless you use poisons or you use Heartland's Conqueror to increase the effectiveness, this one's just kind of meh. You know, because this is the only thing that this one causes frost damage. It's the only thing that really causes frost damage. Magic damage, magic damage, magic damage, magic damage. Some is physical damage, so it's not even disease or poison on the stamina morphs. It's physical damage. So I mean that could be bleeding, I guess, if it's a dot, but it doesn't say that. I don't know. So this one's kind of meh. I don't know. Splintered Secrets. What they don't know can kill them. Increase your physical and spell penetration by 991 per Herald of Tome ability slotted. So right now, just because of this video, I have all of the abilities slotted. So I have almost 6,000 spell penetration. So even without, let's make sure. Yeah, without spinners, I'm at 10,000 spell penetration. That's not bad. It's not bad at all. And in terms of like, now I'm gonna expose myself a little bit because I'm not a good DPS person. But in terms of weaving, see, it's definitely better. And see how you can see on my bar, or not here, but right now, you see on my bar these abilities are glowing. I don't really have add-ons besides Recount. This tells me that this is generated crux and it's ready. You know, so I like that. It's easy to see what the crux is beyond the 3. You know. I see what they're saying. Doesn't seem to hit every time. You see that? Like, look at the recount bar. There we go. See that would be the stun right there, right? So I would have this on, hit this, that stun, and then boom. But man, you really gotta be on them because if I cast him at his feet, I'm not really hitting him every single time, but I'm hitting him some of the time. But look at this ability, like I mean, a lot of people are saying that this is clunky, you know, but I'm finding this really easy to weave. I stink at weaving. This is so much better than Necro Skulls. Necro Skulls is so slow, and it's just like gets the the ability in 10 years. This is just easy. The flow is so much easier. 11,000 each time. Now let's do this. That's the not bad. So that was the ultimate. Now, for those who don't know, that was fulminating wound. For those who don't know, and that's the explosion. You can cancel the beam just by blocking. Also, dodge rolling, bashing. So you're not stuck in animation. So that's good. Yeah, I mean, and those damage, just to give you an idea, those, if you look at the numbers that were popping up on recount, uh, I'm not wearing PvE sets. The sets I'm wearing right now are 5-piece Heartland's Conqueror, Divines. Um, uh, just they're Divines just because I didn't feel like changing them. And War Maiden, 5-piece War Maiden. One reduce spell, one recovery. These two are infused, and this one's infused weapon damage with Nerdhone front bar and powered back bar because of Heartland's Conqueror, taking advantage of that. So I'm not wearing PvE things, PvE abilities, but it's not bad. I mean, it definitely needs some help, but it's really overall not that bad. I mean, I do think without a burst ability, this needs to be better. Maybe you need to increase if it is 22 by 3, I think you need to increase it to 22 by 5. I think that would be a lot better. This ability, I don't know, like, I just don't, I'm not blown away by this ability. It's good for the immobilization, so people will be using it for that, but that's about it. And this ability doesn't do a lot. Like, it's soul trap damage, and it takes every 2 seconds, so it's not really that great. I mean, with those two, it's two. Let's see, 2.8, 5.6, 2.8, 2.8, and then 8.8. 2.8, 5.6, 2.8. Stop! Like, oh my god, I hate the trial. I don't know why I chose the trial dummy phase. But I mean, it's not, especially when, I mean, yeah, you're putting it on a target, so I guess that's a little different. But and let's see, show you. So you see how he's snared. See, he has the little whirlies above him, and how you can tell the ability is look down below there. See that when it first cast there? Ability enemies will glow kind of like Plague Break, where they glow that green like crap. That's how you tell who has it on them. So yeah, I would give their offensive abilities probably like a C plus, maybe like a low B, because it's not bad, but it definitely needs some work in order to work in PvP and PvE. Now you can definitely find people doing huge parses, definitely. But I think in PvP, like, I'm not gonna have this ability on my bar in PvP, I don't think. So I'm gonna have this ability up. But this ability isn't really a damage ability. It's more of a stun, so I'm gonna use this as my dot. But this isn't a great dot, as I said before. This is more of, this is kind of more of annoying. you can still purge dots. I mean, this also helps with damage, but it's not like gonna blow people away. So you kind of do need this ability, or you could do. I mean, you could do Wall of Elements. Put this on your bar to move this over, put this on your bar. So your main, pretty much your damage abilities are this and this, and maybe occasionally this. And you got Major Breach here, but I don't know. You gotta play around with it. It's still really early in the PTS, so it's kind of hard to tell. Things are bound to change. So that's it for this video, guys. Keep out for my videos on the tank line Soldier of Apocrypha and my healing line of Curative Rune Forms. If you did like this video, please don't forget to like. And I'm gonna try to do videos as often as I can, anyway. But I do this for fun, so I do have a main job, and it does keep me pretty busy. So um, I guess I'll have to keep coming back if you did like the video, and have some fun out there.